You have a dog, or a cat, or maybe a rabbit. And right now, somewhere in your house, that animal is sleeping. It trusts you completely. It has no idea what you're capable of. And yet, you would never eat it. Not even if you were starving. Not even if no one was watching. Not even if it died of natural causes. Something deep inside you recoils at the thought. It feels monstrous, wrong, like crossing a line that can never be uncrossed. But here's the thing. You eat animals every single day. Chickens, cows, pigs. You don't lose sleep over any of them. You don't even think twice. So what is actually different? What invisible line separates the animal on your plate from the animal on your couch? Most people assume it's about love. Or maybe intelligence. Or maybe it's just obvious. Some animals are food, and some aren't. But none of that is actually the answer. The real reason is buried deep inside your brain, in circuits so ancient they predate language itself. And once you understand what's actually happening when you look at your pet, you will never see your own mind the same way again. Stay until the end. The last part will change how you think about love, grief, and why you are the kind of creature that is capable of both. Let's start with the thing nobody talks about. You eat animals constantly. Billions of humans do. And yet most of us feel completely fine about it. The chicken on your plate was a living, breathing creature 48 hours ago. It had a nervous system. It could feel pain. And yet when you sit down to eat, something in your brain just doesn't register that. Psychologists have a name for this. They call it the meat paradox. It was formally studied by psychologist Bastian and his colleagues in 2012. They found that most people actually care about animal suffering in the abstract. But the moment meat is on your plate, your brain quietly switches off that caring. Not consciously, automatically. It's not hypocrisy, it's a defense mechanism. Your brain protects you from the discomfort of what you're actually doing, and it works brilliantly for most animals. But it completely fails the moment a single condition is met. The moment you give an animal a name. This is one of the most consistent findings in all of psychology, and it is more powerful than almost anyone realizes. In 2011, researchers at the University of Tromsø gave two groups of people a pig to look after. One group was told the pig's name was Hamlet. The other group was told it had no name. At the end of the study, both groups were asked how they felt about slaughtering the pig for food. The named group showed dramatically higher reluctance and moral distress. Same pig, same situation. One word changed everything. Think about what that means. The name didn't change the animal. It changed you. The moment you say a name, the moment you call your dog Max or your cat Luna, your brain files that creature into a completely different category. Not animal, not resource, not even pet. It files it under individual, and your brain treats individuals by a completely different moral code than it treats categories. Think about it this way. You eat beef. But you would never eat a specific cow that you had spent 3 months feeding by hand, watching grow, talking to every morning. The animal hasn't changed. Your brain has. And this isn't just a modern soft emotion. It goes back tens of thousands of years. Ancient humans lived side by side with animals long before agriculture existed. They hunted. They ate everything they could catch. But even then, even the earliest evidence of human habitation shows something remarkable. In some sites, archaeologists find animal bones that have been chewed and cracked for marrow, and right beside them, animal bones that have been carefully buried, treated with something like ceremony. Some animals were food, some animals were something else, and the line between those two categories was drawn by relationship. This is the key thing that most people miss. Humans are the only species on Earth that actively recruits other species into its social group. Dogs didn't just wander in from the wild, we pulled them in. We selected them over thousands of years for one specific trait, the ability to read human emotion. Dogs can follow a human gaze. They can understand human pointing. Even wolves raised from birth by humans cannot do this. Dogs evolved specifically to become members of our social world. Cats did something similar, though with cats it's debatable who domesticated whom. The point is, your pet is not just an animal you happen to own. Your pet has been shaped by evolution, both its evolution and yours, to form a social bond with you. It reads your face. It knows your moods. It greets you when you come home with something that looks, from the inside, very much like love. And here's where your ancient brain does something it cannot undo. It activates the same neural circuits that it uses for human relationships. A study in 2016 using brain imaging showed that when dog owners looked at photos of their dogs, the same regions of the brain lit up as when mothers looked at photos of their children. The same regions, not similar regions, the exact same circuitry. Your brain is not processing your dog as a pet. It is processing your dog as family. And there is a deeply ancient reason why you do not eat family. Human beings survived for hundreds of thousands of years by living in small groups. Every member of the group was irreplaceable. Every member contributed something: protection, knowledge, labor, warmth, companionship. The psychological cost of losing a group member was enormous, so your brain evolved to assign enormous moral weight to those bonds. To betray that bond, to eat something you have loved, something that trusted you, activates every alarm system your brain possesses. It feels like a violation because, by the standards your ancient brain was built for, it is. This is what psychologists call the taboo trade-off. Some things are sacred, not in a religious sense, in a neurological sense. They cannot be converted into currency or food or utility without causing what researchers call moral outrage, a gut-level sense that something has been contaminated that can never be cleaned. Your pet crossed that line. It became sacred in your brain. It became an individual who you are bonded to, and no amount of hunger or logic can override that without enormous psychological cost. But here's where it gets even stranger. This effect doesn't even require years of relationship. It can happen almost instantly. Researchers have found that people develop measurable reluctance to eat animals after being told a single personal detail about them. One detail: an age, a habit, a favorite activity. One tiny piece of information that suggests individuality. And the meat paradox defense mechanism begins to collapse. This is why farmers throughout history developed practical rules about not naming animals intended for slaughter. It wasn't sentiment, it was survival. The farmers who named their pigs started struggling to kill them. The farmers who didn't name them could do it without hesitation. The naming was the variable. The naming was everything. And this explains something even bigger. It explains why, across almost every human culture, there are animals that simply cannot be eaten. Not because of religion, though religion often formalized these rules, but because those animals had become part of the social fabric of the community. Dogs were companions, guardians, hunters. Horses were partners in war and labor. Cats protected grain stores and were woven into daily life. Once an entire species enters the social world of humans, eating any individual of that species starts to feel wrong, because each individual could be someone's Hamlet. So, what does this mean for you? It means the reason you would never eat your pet is not squeamishness. It is not irrationality. It is not mere preference. It is evidence that your brain is working exactly as it was built to work. You are a social animal, the most social animal on Earth. You form bonds. You assign moral weight to those bonds. You protect the individuals inside your circle with an instinct so deep it overrides survival logic. Your pet is not outside your moral circle. Your pet is inside it. And the most profound thing about that is this: you didn't decide that. You didn't choose to love your pet so completely that the thought of eating them is unthinkable. Your brain decided. While you were busy living your life, your ancient social circuits quietly looked at this small creature, this animal that learned to read your face across 50,000 years of evolution, and they said, "One of us." Every time your dog meets you at the door, something is happening in your brain that predates civilization, predates language, predates almost everything we think of as human, and yet it is one of the most human things there is. The line between animal and family is not drawn by biology. It is not drawn by intelligence. It is not even drawn by love, exactly. It is drawn by recognition. The moment you recognize another creature as an individual with a name, a history, a bond, your brain places them beyond reach. Not because you are weak, because you are exactly what evolution made you. a creature that loves and cannot unknow it.